Yo, what's good? Welcome to Counter Currents. This is your host, Petey Steele.
And your co-host, Elena Torres. And our guest today, what can I say? Well, we were performing together on a show at Arlington Draft House last weekend. And you know how people talk about how comic hangs are where a lot of the magic happens, like when you talk to other comics and you're either riffing or talking about life. And that's true, I think, like half of the time. But every once in a while, you have a great time talking to a comic. And I had the best time talking to this comic backstage. I was very glad that the headliner had an hour. We kicked it. We had the best time. So please welcome the very funny, very cool Dante Chang.
Thank you. Is that the snap? Is that what you got? Snap thing? Sorry.
That's what I do.
Well, the best. I feel like you're the best. I feel like you're exaggerating a little bit, but thank you. That makes me feel good about myself.
Well, I had the best time. I thought we had so much fun. Just like
I did. I really did. Thank you so much. So that's very nice of you to say that.
It's true. It's true.
You're such a pleasant guy, Dante. I mean, of all the comics I've met, just pure in heart.
You know what it is? I'm just happy. I'm a happy. Most comedians are sad. I'm a happy person, and I don't expect. I think the big thing is most comedians feel like they're not where they're supposed to be. Like they feel like they should be in a different place. I should be this, or I should be headlining this club. I'm like, no, we are exactly where we're supposed to be. If you're not exactly where you think you are, maybe you need to look inside yourself. Like it's not. I don't know.
Okay.
Or you're delusional. I don't know.
Well, I also think a lot of people, like you do get comics who I think pretend to be happy and will be kind of brown nosy. And I never got that from you. Like you always seem like you're just being yourself.
Thank you.
All the time.
I try to be myself. I don't know. Because nobody could do that better. No one could be yourself better than you. So, hey, I don't know. I'm kind of like, that is one of my pet peeves when I see somebody emulating somebody else, when they're like, you see it all the time. Like when this could be, you see like the top 10, 20 comedians in the world. And so there's always somebody emulating them or having like a very similar act where you didn't steal their jokes, but you pretty much just took their jokes and just changed the wording and you took their image and all that. Like, all right, that's a little, I don't know. Now, but the thing is, what did you think that nobody was going to notice? We all know, and we talk about you when you leave the room. So
yeah, it's true.
Like, whoa,
that guy, he ain't exactly where he's supposed to be right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, it worked for James Dean, but that wasn't comedy. It's hard. I think in comedy, it's really like, you're such an individual that it's really hard. I mean, the only chance you have is like if you. I feel like you should rather copy a person that's not as known. That's a good comedian. If you're gonna copy somebody, like kind of like the way I don't know. It's not, but the kind of way it's a weird example. R. Kelly did Aaron Hall, where Aaron Hall wasn't that big, so he stole his whole thing and became bigger than he was, but. Not that people would. I mean, Aaron Hall was known, but not that known. So if you're gonna do it, don't go copy Chappelle or Burr. That's just that's not. I don't think that's very smart.
That's a really interesting concept. I don't remember who it was, but I was reading an interview with some rapper, I think, and he was saying that when people ask him like, "What books do you read for inspiration or knowledge or whatever?" he's like, "I tell no one," because he doesn't want the influences he incorporates and stuff getting traced back in a sense. That kind of stuck with me. It's like, not that I'm trying to be a big emulator, but we all incorporate some aspects or philosophies of people consciously and unconsciously.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's why I think a deep dig is like you're saying is really good, because it shouldn't be the next man,
I've seen comedians like that actually when they start hanging with each other, they become friends, and they become similar to each other in a sense. Like they start writing like similar, and they start doing similar. And it's as time goes, they start to become so much like each other. And I've seen it where other guys are like, wait a minute, are you copying me, dude? And they get into a fight. Like I've seen that happen. Like No, you guys are around each other so much that
Right.
you just naturally pick up things. Sometimes it's a natural thing. You don't intend to do it. I don't think. I mean, intention. I think sometimes a lot of stuff happens unintentionally in stand-up comedy, where like you just start. I've seen somebody like literally do this, like do this to me. Even they're like, hey, I wrote a joke for you last night. I think it would fit you perfectly. And I was like, cool. What's the joke? He told it to me. I was like, I can't do that joke because that's your joke.
Yeah.
You actually coped with it, and all you did was change the location of the thing of where it took place. He's like, oh my God, you're right. You know, like it's like even when he was trying to help me out, he accidentally tried to almost gave me his own joke. You know,
Wow.
Like he didn't it didn't catch his head. It didn't for some reason.
So he imputed his own mindset into you, but just switched a couple words, changed the veneer. That's so strange.
Yeah,
it was the same joke, and I appreciate that. That was really kind of him to, even watch me on stage and say, "Oh, I got something good for you," but that's your joke. People are gonna think I stole it from you, man, or maybe you just took your joke and just changed the location of it. So I don't know, man. It's weird.
It's like in that Comedy Store documentary. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Sam Kinnison's best friend. Mm-hmm. I guess they hung out so much that the best friend was a funny comic before, but Sam Kinison had such a particular style that his friend, who was just touring with him all the time and tried to like adopt that style, and he actually got less funny for it.
The opener got less funny?
Yeah. Sam Kinnison's friend, who was like opening for him, and it was his best friend. They hung out all the time. He tried to sort of like emulate that Kinnison sort of like dark style, and it just didn't work for him.
Yeah, I think that's weird when I've seen that. I mean, I don't want to because some of them are friends. I've seen it where they start opening for somebody and then they sound like a cheaper version of that guy now. After a while, maybe like a year or 8 months, a good amount of time. It doesn't happen in 1 or 2 months because you don't see it happening. It's like it's like it's such a slow burn. Like it happens so subtly. You see a little more of it. Then if they disappear for 3 or 4 months, they come back like, Jesus, you're just like your opener now, like a bad like a discount version of your opener,
Totally.
And then when you make fun of them, they get mad. I told one of my friends, now you're discount. What's his name? He was like, "Fuck you, man! Can't believe you said that." I'm joking.
Joking, kind of.
Actually, I'm not joking, but I'm saying joking to try to ease the blow, I guess.
Right.
It's weird when comedians get sensitive. Like when you make fun, when you say anything. I think the only thing I'm sensitive about is like yesterday, I was playing poker with these comedians last night. One of the comedians' mother passed away like a year or 2 ago, I think, and this other drunk comedian just kept making fun of his dead mom, right? And I was like, Jesus, that's like, to me, that's like, that's the line I cannot cross. Like a deaf family. Yeah. But the funny thing, they were both like cool with it. He was like, yeah, I'd fuck your mother's dead corpse. He's like, she was cremated. Too bad. I don't give a fuck. I'll fuck the cremation. And he was laughing at it. He's like, he thought it was funny. I was like, oh my God, am I being too soft? Like that's just.
Did you buy his laughter though? Or you think he was just trying to be tough?
He seems like a tough guy, like just a tough guy. And where I was a little impressed, I don't think he's been doing comedy that long, like maybe like 4 years, and it's like, wow, your skin is pretty thick, or some people are just like that. I mean, maybe he's just immune to it. Maybe he's one of those people that just kind of just block it out.
Right.
But I was sitting there like, oh my God. I believe 99% of jokes are off limits, but that is like, that is like a woman got raped or something. Like those two are like, you can't,
It's like he kept talking about the mom. It wasn't just like one joke. He like kept doing it. Like that's dangerous.
He went for like 5 minutes, and the guy that was getting attacked is like he's used to being he's got into a lot of like street brawls and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like he's not a punk. And this other guy, he's a skinny drunk guy, so he would say, hey, I'll kick your ass. He could have easily just shut it down, but he just kept playing along with it. He was like, you're crazy, man. I was like, oh my God, the shut the fuck up, fuck you is about to come any second. But he just kept going, and he seemed like he almost enjoyed it. Like he was like, I like the attention. I like the everyone got him.
Well, that makes sense.
They should have knocked him out. That would be that alcoholic guy's moment of clarity.
That's true. No, but the thing is, he's actually a really cool guy. You can't. Yeah. You would never hit this guy because you just know, like, you'll probably crumble him. You know, he's a nice guy.
I get that some people have things with their closest friends where they can do that kind of shit with one another and it's fine or whatever. I have that with some of my guys, but like no strangers talking about my mom like that. Fuck no. I go.
We're not straight. They're really good friends. I mean, I'm sure if it was a random guy off the streets, it would have been it would have been ugly.
It would have been a punch.
Yes, at least a punch. You know, maybe get beat on afterwards. You know, like I don't know if it would stop at a punch for me. And I think most people will understand. You know, police officer. Yeah, I get it. That's not cool. You know, like you did do that. So I don't know. I thought that was it. I thought that was funny. Yeah, but it's right. The relationship has to be there because man, that was. I was almost like, guys, stop. I'm getting sensitive. I was like, this is not.
You're like, doing that in front of other people that don't have that thing with you is kind of weird too. Yeah. That's another problem, you know.
Because I know them, but I don't know them as they do each other. I just literally met up with them to play poker. So I'm just like, I literally even started saying, like, guys, I'm too sensitive for this. Like, this is my draw. You know me, I don't care about anything, but for some reason, because this is the second time in my I saw it one more time at a comedy roast. When the guy's mom died a week ago, and the guy's attacking the guys for that. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't have that heart. I just don't. I couldn't do. Someone tried to hire me to do that. I can't do that. Like it's too cruel. I can't even start right. Yeah, because my creativity just shuts down. Like I don't even like you know what I mean. It's something weird. Like for some reason like my friend's mom is like whatever. I have a friend mom that like. She's older, but she like dresses up and like tries to like bang everybody. You know what I mean? That I think is funny to make fun of. Yeah, you know what I mean? I think that's funny.
Are okay.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, look at your mom try to get some new dick again. You know, like you can tell. You can just tell, like the way, like you can tell, like yo, I want young dick. I want it. So look at the way I'm dressed. I can it spews out of her. It's all she lets you know and everything. So you know, like then I make fun of that. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? But like that's because it's still rough because if you're not a comedian, I don't know if you could do that because I think we've all done this when we're around comedians and we joke harsh, you know, and then if that like spills onto like your friends who aren't comedians, you're like, whoa, man, why'd you say that? You're like, oh yeah, sorry.
That's the worst when you get introduced to a new group of people and you're given a disclaimer. Has that happened to y'all? You go to like brunch with somebody and they got like 4 or 5 people and you might say one off-color thing and they're like, just so you know, Petey's like a comic, so he kind of like he's a provocateur and blah blah blah, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had people make that excuse for me after I make a joke in a group setting. Like I remember once I was at this like Friendsgiving thing and the girl who threw it, there was probably like 10 people there. And it was like when I just moved to DC. And some girl who was introducing everybody was like, hey, so how about we all go around the circle and say our names and how you guys know me and something about yourself. And so it came around to me and I said some crazy shit. I was with my husband and I was like, hi, my name's Elena. I'm just here because this guy thinks I give a mean blowjob. And everybody just like, it was so uppity, the whole thing. I just couldn't, it just came out. And, everybody, their mouths just like hit the floor. And then she had to be like, she's a comedian. She's a comedian. She's a comedian. And then everybody laughed.
Yeah, brunch icebreakers. I mean, like
that's the thing. It's like
that deserves that kind of comment.
It's literally like they hand you like, how are you not supposed to say?
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. I wish I was there. I would have introduced myself immediately and say, hey, I want to be your friend. I love that. But I love stuff like that because especially that they didn't even know you're a comedian. They just saw you, they got smacked with it from left field. That's what makes me like love that so much. I love doing. That's when I like. It's weird. I might be so sensitive to what we talked about earlier, but in that way, I feel like you can go all the fucking way. It doesn't fucking matter. Like,
oh yeah,
you're not in. You have a. This doesn't hurt you. It's just gonna shock the shit out of you. Or you're gonna talk about it tonight. Hey, this girl Elena, I met her during brunch. She's introduced herself as. I was like, I love to sew and play with my dog, and she was like, I just love giving me blowjobs. She's gonna remember that. You know what I mean? We're gonna talk about it, like, and then
you have to be careful. But that's what happens when you hang around comics too much. Like that's when I was like newer to comedy, and I was like hanging out with comics all the time, and you get used to it. You can't control it. It's like even when I first had my kid, I joined like a new moms group. Where you like sit in a circle, everyone with their baby, and like after you have a kid, everybody's like very sensitive. And there are a couple of girls there that have not talked to me since.
Yeah, I remember going on a date and a girl straight up saying like, "Oh, just to get this off the table, like I know you do comedy. Can you turn the comic off?" Like, And I was
Did she say that?
Yeah, like just to be like, I don't really want to date a comic that's just gonna be a comic like full time. And I kind of get that, but I was like, no, I really can't that well, and you're not hot enough for me to like make an effort.
Well, you should never do that for anybody. You should tell her that. Go get an open micer. Go get an open micer. They do it part time.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like I'm a full time comic. I got to do. This is who I am.
I don't know. I mean, to go Dutch, but yeah, open mic is your way.
That's one of my pet peeves. I hate people like that try to tell you how to be, how to live, Hey, can you not be this way? Well, if what I'm doing doesn't physically or mentally harm you, I'm not physically or verbally abusing you. Shut the fuck up. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm being who I am. I mean, but weird thing is I've never been told that. I just get the Elena thing. He's a comic. He says stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's about all. Like, knows everything. Hey, can you just not be a funny guy for a while? Like, I don't know. I try to be sensible about it and do it at the right. I mean, not to overdo it because I do find it annoying when a comedian jokes like every second. Those.
Yes.
Every second, like you'll be having a serious conversation, be like, yeah, because that's why when I came back from the thing, yeah, you came back because like, all right, like, come on, man, like, not right, like, not that much,
Yes, they just want to riff. It's all like a joke competition. It's like we've had that on this podcast before. We're like, well, what I'm talking about. Where we'll have people where it's like, we'll ask them a question and they just want to make a joke on a joke on a joke, and it's like, I'm just asking you too a little bit about you, and they won't even say anything about their own life. Yeah. And it's like the podcast ends and I have no idea who that guy is.
Yeah. You got to spend a lot of time in your own head to be able to even do that for 30 minutes straight. Like you have to pre-plan that, probably thought of like rebuttals. It's like being a battle rapper or something. Yeah. I mean, and I've done that, and I can't stand doing that with comics. Like a little punchline here, there is fine or whatever, but like a whole freestyle, I don't even believe it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely, man. Definitely. I smoked a lot of weed before I fell asleep last night. So like, all right, you know what? It's gonna come back. It's gonna come back.
Okay. Okay. Your train of thought got derailed.
Yeah. Well, I just saw you look up. I was like, what's going on over there?
You think of it, then you pay attention, and then when you come back, you're like, damn. But I try to still pay attention because I think it's because sometimes if you don't pay attention, like your answer will no longer match what the person's saying. So like
that's true.
So you have to pay attention to like, oh, okay, all right, it's okay.
That's true. The best is when you catch someone doing that. I was on the phone with one of my best friends who's in LA earlier today, and I was like I was also like at Whole Foods like buying shit, and he just stopped listening to me. And I was like telling him about, I don't know, whatever. And he just like wasn't listening. He's just going, yeah. And at one point I was like, is your butthole hairy? What? And I was like, yeah, now you're paying attention.
Yeah. You have to do that.
I love catching people doing that.
Yeah, it's I also read, I do a lot of reading on how to succeed and how to that's actually how you don't succeed. They said you should pay, yeah, you have to be present and pay attention to everything that's going on.
Right. What's your favorite how to succeed thing that you've read?
I've read so many that like at the end of the day, it feels like it's always this. The underlying message is always the same. You know, like think positive, don't believe in what you're doing, but you know, act like you've already accomplished it. Like but a lot, like so many, like there's so I can't even start. Like I listen to this guy Bob Proctor. I used to listen to this guy Bob Proctor. I don't. You know what it was? I watched that. We all watched it or read The Secret Book, right? So I started like
I didn't read that.
You didn't?
No, so, the minute I heard they said you could like, save villages in Sudan by like wanting to or something, I was like, this is horrible.
No, that's a little like far-fetched. It just all it does is make you just say just think more positive. Like where like how, your initial reaction, how you react. I think that was like a selling point. Hey, if you think of this, you get any car, you can have $1 billion tomorrow. It's a selling point because to be honest with you, I've gotten a lot better at it. But it took years and years of discipline and practice and just focusing and just kind of just letting go of stuff. It helps me where like I'm not attached to anything. You shouldn't be attached to anything or attached to a certain outcome and stuff like that. And it helps because you're not like, oh, I have to be this. No, you kind of just trust the flow of things. Just trust that you're going the right direction and it just because a lot of times like I think most people have like you're like you get anxious about the future, you kind of punish yourself about mistakes you have, and that's all it takes to stay out of that. Like don't because like expecting a certain outcome will give you anxiety, man. Like you're like man, what if this doesn't turn out the way and so I don't know, living without that it's a relief, like but like Pete, you're probably a very realistic person, so that will make me that turned a lot of my friends off, until they kind of really looked into it. I get it because that's like it's something you're not gonna. It's hard to imagine just so because I think of a pink elephant, it's gonna come. It's just like it doesn't work.
Well,
it's weird,
it's interesting because I do have a kind of fanciful and a wanderlust side to me, even though I am mostly realistic about it. And what even got me there was back when I was a big drunk, because I'd go out on these benders, have all these magical thoughts of everything. And then the next day I'd be hungover, going to the bookstore and reading books like that, And eventually I got through enough of them to where I was like, any one of these could just be called The Road to Your Next Self-Help Book. Yeah. Because it's like you just get addicted to those, but you don't apply anything. So to me, it's about application. I mean, some of those books are good. They have good things to say. I like to read. But then what are you going to do that day? I think you need to kind of set a practical, realistic goal. And then once that happens, then you build upon that and it gets easier and easier. Or maybe start with the thing that sucks for most or that you fear the most, and then taper it down and you kind of get to the nitty gritty. And you have to learn that other problems are going to pop up. It's not like a linear road to success, But I mean, I think some of those books are okay. What I really like those books? I really love those books after I've done the work and enjoyed some success. And then I pick one up and I read it and I'm like, oh, I'm already doing that. And I got that success. What the fuck do I need this book for,
Yeah.
Wipe my ass with this. No,
the reason why I personally need it is because I think we're creatures of habit, we're creatures of like, we just, like they say, like 95% of today is going to be as similar as tomorrow. The next day after that, your day only changes about 5% every day. So I realized that like if I lived a certain way for what, say 30 years or 20 years, so if I want to create new habits, I have to consciously be aware of it and just to make sure I create this new discipline, or it's never going to happen. And sometimes the weird thing is, because I lived this way for 20 years, and I've been living this way for a month. So guess what? You could easily slip back because that part is so ingrained in who you are that it could just slip. So I really, that's why I need it to just say, hey, this is the new you now. You have to stay this way. And eventually you stay there for like 2-3 years, you become that person. You know what I mean? Like it's weird,
Sure.
you know?
100%. I think that's the thing with all that self-help stuff. It is a lot of the same messages, but it's a lot easier said than done, right? Like it's really hard to, like you say, like trust the flow of things, like that type of stuff. Like I saw this like guru guy a couple years ago. That's sort of that same idea where it's just like manifest your destiny and that type of thing. And his whole thing and I only saw him a few times, his whole thing was like about trust and how to apply it to comedy. He was like, you have to trust your audience. And that's something that I have issues with at shows all the time, because sometimes you don't trust, if you trust the crowd, your set's going to go better. But if you're going up there and you're like, I don't know, when you get into like that negativity, you're like, they seem tight, they seem this. It's worse. But that sounds like such a little simple thing, but that's a daily thing that I try to apply, like whenever I do comedy. That's tough. Because it's hard to trust them.
I think that's great advice. I honestly, that's almost like, that's something I'm going to take with me. I like that.
Yeah?
I like that a lot. Yeah, because I've seen, like you just said, I've seen it the other way so many times. They already write the audience off.
Yeah.
And that's insane. You know, I'm really kind of, that's crazy. That's really good advice, you know, because you're right. That creates a different energy, because you're already like, oh, because you're kind of gonna like, you're almost gonna treat the audience like they're your friends, like they're like,
right,
like they're distant friends. So like when you are like that, like when I see an audience that I'm familiar with or that I kind of know some of the people there, your attitude is a little different. You know, the way you're coming off is different. And then I realized when you come off like that to strangers, it's received the same exact way. Like they feel like they know you. They start talking to you after the show like they know you, which could be sometimes kind of weird, but like because you've gotten so personable that they like feel like, and you're like, oh, I don't know you at all though, bro. Like, you know what I mean? But it's too late because they're already in your face. So you gotta just have to play it off like, cool, man. You know, like,
yeah.
But thank you, man.
Well, I think also like people think like the audience is the only one judging comics, but we all judge the crowd all the time. Like we'll go like, move the curtain and be like, what are they like? What's the vibe? That table looks like they'll be assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all say that. We'll be like, this side liked my jokes, that side didn't.
Oh yeah, I'll never stop doing that. I don't foresee the day for that. Because some of it for me, it's like strategy. I have to like go off of what I think appearance dictates, but I can be wrong. And then that's something I have to do throughout the set too. And nonetheless, I'm going to have to commit to what I'm doing for the most part, although I could make a veer left turn, skip a bit. So, that's part of the fun of this whole thing, the adventure, I think.
It's like every show's a snowflake. There's no two ever exactly alike. Very similar shows.
True.
Nothing exactly alike. I want to tell you about guys about my favorite, at least one of my most interesting, unique favorite shows of all time, because I thought it was cool. So I got hired to do a private show in a backyard, like years ago, like maybe like second or third year doing comedy, right?
Okay.
And I saw it was an all transgender show, all transgender, whereas like, it was not all, but there was like a bunch of transgender strippers walking around, and it was like
transgender in the audience or transgender.
Yeah.
Okay,
both. Like, there was all so many transgender people.
Okay.
There was a woman that hired me, but she had a sister that was so cousins. There was a lot of trans people, right? like majority of the people, those trans workers, you know, I mean, they were like, you know, giving lap dances and they were wearing like fish hook stock. It was very, you know, people that are into this thing, you know, and it was cool, whatever. And I would say like the first 2 or 3 comedians were bombing their ass off, like just nothing, like nothing.
Wow.
One comedian went up and said, pointed to this chubby transgender person and said, look at you. I know your dad isn't proud of you. I know your dad is. And then like, my mouth dropped because I was like, this is over. This is really down the toilet now. But they thought it was the funniest thing in the world. The audience had a crazy ass roar to that response. They were like, they thought it was funny. And the girl even said, yeah, it's true. My dad's not very proud.
Yeah.
You know, and she came into it, right? And then for some reason, it became like everyone just started making fun of trans people really, like really harshly. But they loved it. They have such, and the crazy thing is, I talked basically.
You gotta set this up for me again, Dante. Like any day now.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a few bits about transgenders, and mostly they kill, but occasionally somebody will get like rah, and people will get self-conscious about it, laughing.
Yeah, I have one too, and I know what you mean. It was just a luck of the draw, man. You know, like someone just had a party. You know, they had like a trans party, and you know, like a stripper trans. I don't know what that's called. I don't know it. I don't want to mislabel it, but I was like, man, this is really cool. And it went from like the coldest audience of all time to like the hottest within a second. Usually, you see that it gradually goes from cold to hot. It wasn't like like this person bombed, Elena got him. Petey got him warm. Elena's really getting him. It gradually gets better. It wasn't like that. It changed within a second, where it went from cold to hot within a second, and hot for the rest of the night, where everything was going over. You could make fun of anything, and then everything was going over so hard. It was like one line that broke them in, and it was beautiful because most of the comedians were like hood black dudes, right? So like to see that and to see like trans people just talking and having a good time afterwards, it's something that it was beautiful. The whole night was beautiful. Was starting from that point where the ice got broken, you know, and on. Before that, it was really uncomfortable. And thank God I wasn't one of the comedians that went before that. You know, like it was like, because it was rough. It went from so rough. And to me, it was beautiful to see people that don't normally interact with each other, and to see like how they're so there. I remember talking to one of the trans women afterwards, and I was like, wow, you guys aren't very sensitive. You guys have really good senses of humor. Is it all trans people? Are they all like that? She's like, well, yeah, most of us. The ones I've known personally, I have a neighbor that used to be my old neighbor was like that. Great sense of humor. Very like they don't get offended very easily. But she said, well, what do you think we haven't been called? What do you think we haven't been through? Like there's nothing that hurts my feelings anymore. You know, like it's like my feelings are made out of, you know, are stone now. I was like, that's actually really good for comedy. You guys should be like all audience members. You guys really get it, and you guys have been in a sense. We're like almost a perfect match in a sense.
Totally.
If you guys are really like that, so because I actually told that story in DC once about the whole how the guy was like, look at you. They didn't find that funny at all.
I believe it.
Yeah, here I believe that.
The person before me got into it with a gay person about a trans person. They got into a fight, like a Virgo. And I thought that story might ease the attention just like it did in real life.
Right.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Nope.
Yeah, no, trans and gay people have more beef than like Ethiopians and Eritreans. It feels weird to say that, but I've seen that happen. Like you hear about it in Britain, if they have like a LGBTQ march, there'll be like gay people that won't march or trans people that won't march with the gays. Like they have like intra-feuding.
I think that's terrible. You know, you guys should all get along. And sometimes I don't feel like I don't feel like it was because I didn't know this because I guess I'm learning. I'm getting more educated as it goes. Dave Chappelle in his I think I believe it was his last special because he put out so many so fast. But he said they're like they get treated the worst out of the LGBT right in this bit.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was
true.
I didn't know that was true, but and then so when I see trans, I try to be extra nice because like God, you're treated bad amongst your own people. That's fucked up. Like that's I don't know, man. I'm like, why? Because I'm about love. I'm about equal. Like just show everyone the same love. Like we're all the same. Like what's different? Just because just because you believe you're the other sex, you're bad. Like that's crazy to me. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like any type of anything that if you've ever never done nothing to me personally, how can I be mad at you? Like how can I? Why? What's the point? It's a waste of energy, waste of time to hate you or to have any issue with you. I think that's to me that's. I mean, I know like this is 2000 in 2021. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. Like it should just be like, okay, let's just love everybody. Like it kind of baffles me still. Like, come on, man.
Love to shit on something.
Yeah, like
you're in a marginalized group. Like people always want to shit on something. Like I'm Hispanic. Like within that community, like there's so much racism within. I mean, you're Asian. You know the same thing. Like within the Hispanic community, like there's so much racism within the community by itself that it's like, come on, guys.
It's sad because I'm Korean, and then there's like Chinese and Japanese, and we do think those three do think they're better than Filipinos, Cambodians, and Laos. They just think they're better. They're like, yeah, we're the dark Asians, like I don't know, like it's weird. Like it's like we think we're like Asian people. We think we're like white people. Those three Asians. You guys are like the blacks and Latinos, and we're just better. Like, all right.
Yeah, all right. I'll never forget. I went to bail out a buddy one time after a bachelor party in Tampa, and we're sitting there for 6 hours because they never, they take their time when they're processing your bail. And we met this Cuban gal, and she was bailing out somebody else, and like these Salvadorians came in the room, to bail out their buddy, and she looks at me and kind of whispers like, look at them, like those wetbacks, straight up. She goes, and I was like, what? I was like, who the fuck do you think you are? I was like, just because you got a dry foot? Like she straight up thought she was white because she was Cuban. And I was like, we're all in jail. Like, what are we talking about?
How can you judge somebody in jail? Like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the place to be like, I'm better than you. Like
that's insane. To me, that's insane. I think that's just insane. I don't know. I do because honestly, like I think I do like making fun of the stereotypes to their face.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah.
On a lighter note, yeah.
Like I love doing this whenever I think Chappelle did a version of this too. Whenever my boy orders chicken, my black friend ordered chicken, I'm like, I knew it. Like I just like saying that. I just like, like, and then to my friends, I'm like, hey, we're ordering from the Japanese restaurant. Sorry, man, no horchata. Sorry, man. I just like, I don't know why. It's fun. It's fun when it's lighthearted and you know what I mean, just jokey.
Right. Like we were talking about with the fuck your mother's corpse thing earlier. If you have that kind of relationship with your friends of different Benetton colors or whatever, and you can bust off and throw slurs at one another like ha 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 ha. That's y'all. I mean,
yeah, that's just to me. That's crazy. As soon as you said that, it took me back. Like, God, that was crazy. Like, you guys are crazy. Like, I don't want that relationship with anybody. I don't want it. I don't want to be able to for you to feel comfortable enough to say that to me or me say that to you. I don't. That's
not that stuff about my mama. No. But the other stuff is fine.
Yeah, it's great. No, racist jokes to me. To me, there's no limit. You can say whatever you want. I can say whatever I want. It's okay. To me, it's. I think it's getting. I think the cancel culture has really made it look like it's They've ruined it. They've ruined us more than any. I think we suffer. We're one of the most. We suffer the most maybe out of almost anybody. You know,
the
because
comics. Yeah, no, I agree, because it's an easy straw man to defenestrate. You just go up when they're having their show, you pull out your little iPhone and say, "Oh yeah, he just told a, microaggressive joke about this group or that group," and put it on Twitter, and boom, 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 boom. But 2012, when I started, we always fucked around and did every racial joke, stereotype, whatever. I remember that very well. I mean,
it should be allowed in comedy.
It was making fun of the stereotype, and it was understood that we all got it, that these were stupid old tropes. Let's just make light of it and ha ha ha. But to some people, they think, oh, ironic racism, transphobia, this is the same thing as wearing a Klan hood or something. It doesn't make sense.
I think it's also scary for comics, because no comic, even Dave Chappelle, no comic is funny 100% of the time, and you have to try shit. And then you get worried that if you're trying shit, you're like, I don't know if this is gonna land or not.
And that's terrible to think like that. We should not have to think like that. But sad enough, the way the cancel culture has affected comedy, even now you have to think about it. That's terrible, because you should be able to think free as an artist. It should be no limit to how you think and how free you are. But it's terrible. And I would advise comedians, don't go that way. Just stay free, because you're limiting yourself. If it offends somebody, hey, but someone else is going to laugh at it. So, hey.
That's right.
It's true. It's true. Even over the weekend, I was doing shows, and I have one joke. Most of my jokes aren't really very controversial, because it's about my own life, even though I did an abortion joke with an act out while I was pregnant, and that made a lot of people uncomfortable. I was like, I'm the pregnant one. But anyway, even over the weekend, I have one joke that I do that it's I wonder how the audience is going to take it. And I did 2 shows back to back, and one audience, I had them, and I was like, okay, I'm going to tell it. I've got them. They'll be cool with it. And I told the joke, and they got quiet. They got so uncomfortable. Literally an hour later, told the same joke to a crowd that I was like, I think they got it. And I did it, and they laughed even louder. They loved it so much more. And that's the thing with comedy. You don't know how the audience is going to take certain things, but I think you have to keep trying, right?
Double down. Yeah, that's the way this cancel stuff, I think, will end. Everybody's going to have to just develop a harder backbone.
Yeah.
And steel man their fucking jokes. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, this is when I was like, it's getting out of hand. I was doing a DC Comedy Loft, and I was telling a bit about one of my friends who we went on a double date, and his date was homeless, right? And I was just telling the story because it really happened that way, right? Yeah. And then the lady stood up during my set and said, "This isn't cool. He's talking shit about homeless people." And I was like, this is a real story. And then literally all the comedians, they had my back. Another comedian was like, the host was like, he could say whatever the fuck he wants. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he's not, this is comedy. And then I looked at her in the face and I said, people like you ruin comedy. You shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be here. If that bothers you, that's like nothing.
I didn't realize that homeless was off the limits. I guess.
Yeah. I could see if I could possibly understand if I was bashing the homeless, but I was just telling you a story of how my friend brought a homeless girl on a double date. That's it. That's the only thing about it. And she got so offended by that, which means that this is the thing. I've realized some people, they just look for reasons to get offended. They're looking to get offended. They're like, oh, what about that? What about that? And if you're like that, don't come to a comedy show. Just don't. Just stay home and just don't, because basically when you do that, you ruined at least that moment for everybody in that room. You're selfish. You're being extremely selfish.
That's neuroticism at its finest, Yeah. And the way it works with the mindset of a lot of those people is that any way it can be perceived as, they call it punching down, like anything like beneath you or whatever, and it could be homeless, even if you're like a trust fund baby whose parent just said, hey, you know what? I'm not giving you any more fucking money. You're 25. That could be homeless. Yeah. You know what I mean? But anything that can be perceived as that, they will say, oh no, that's off limits now. But the problem with that is like, okay, I'm a straight white male in comedy. There's not much further I can punch up, you know, unless I'm just going to talk about myself the whole time. And that's the whitest centering ever. You know, I refuse to participate in that kind of microaggressive bullshit, you know? Right. That's not how you stay woke, Dante.
Yeah, I try, man. I try, but sometimes I want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I want to take a nap from being woke.
Nerd. Hey, you gotta hit snooze if you're gonna be woke, you know?
Yeah. Sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, I'd rather go with you. I'd rather go with you.
Why? What were you? Now I'm curious.
I did the thing again. I'm telling you, I just woke up, so I'm like, you know.
Right.
I'm still, so all that back and forth was for nothing. Okay.
Yep. Well, what do you got? What do you got coming up, Dante?
I have. I'm excited about this next weekend. There's a new club that's opening here called the Comedy Chateau. I'm there on Sunday, 8 and 10.
That's in LA, everybody.
It's in LA. Yeah, it's in LA. So it doesn't matter for you guys. I think. Huh? It's in North Hollywood. You guys have been to the Haha Comedy Club?
Yeah.
Well, they built it right across the street, directly across the street, where you don't have to. You wouldn't have to drive to the other club. Literally, you could park once and just walk across.
That's nice.
How Comedy Store and Laugh Factory, like literally, like diagonally across the street. I would say like 100 feet away from each other. So it's kind of cool. And the club has 3 rooms. So they're really trying to kill with this. They're really trying to do their thing. It's a beautiful club. I went in there last week for the first time just to come and just check it out. I mean, they seem like really nice people. You know. One staff member thought I was spying on them from the other club because they know I go up at the other club. They're like, "Are you spying?" I'm like, "No, I don't give a shit what you're doing. Like, what am I gonna say? Oh, they have a club here. What am I gonna say? Like, I don't know." But yeah, it was no. But it's a great setup. I believe one room holds 70, other room holds 40, another room holds like 150. So it's there. It's there to. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You know. I think comedy clubs all do well here. So, and then on the day before on Saturday, I'm at the American Comedy Club in
San Diego.
And on Monday, I'm at Haha. I believe I'm at a Haha next Monday, a week from today. Yeah, so that's my schedule. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to fly out here. You guys, because most of the fans are from probably the DMV, right?
There's a fair amount for me that are in LA. So
okay. All right, people in LA, those are my shows. But if you're from the DMV and you want to fly out, you have to buy your plane tickets like right now.
Yeah.
Right now. People have done that. People have flew in from like Canada and Michigan to come to my shows. I'm like, man, don't you have something better to do? Like to do all that for a fucking 2 hour, like an hour and a half show? Like, damn.
They just want a discount on Jordans.
Maybe. You should have spent so much on the flight. Good God. You know, like.
Yeah. How's the shop going? You still got the shop or?
Yeah, it's going good. I've turned the back into an open mic in a podcast studio. I mean, you know, and then I built sets up there. I built like a bar and like an office just to shoot in. We're going to shoot sketches and pilots and stuff in there. So.
What shop is it?
It's called Flashback. And it's on Melrose, but it's like. It was so big when I got it, and it was like the way it's shaped. You could build several different businesses in there. Like it's like because it cuts off. So I thought to myself, how can I utilize this to its fullest potential? Because rent is high as shit. So I gotta just, you know,
right,
figure out. I'm trying to utilize it. So the back is a comedy stage in the back to do stand up comedy in. There's there's a place to shoot, place to do your podcast. So yes, I mean I have a good time there. I'm excited to go every day, you know, because I'm going to do comedy, you know, so I enjoy it.
That's great.
If you guys ever in town, I hope you guys come by.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On our list.
Yeah, I'm coming to LA. It's in a long time, but I know for sure I'm going to come to LA in September. But hopefully I'll be able to come sooner.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think I'll be there. I think I'll be there in September.
You'll be here the whole month?
No. At the end, I think.
Okay.
Cool.
I always come for my mom's birthday, and then I'm trying to, I told talking to Pete at Arlington Draft House to do like a one nighter there, like a Thursday or something. So
yeah,
so it fits. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, if you're coming at the end of the month, actually, now everybody can hear the way that we do this. We do a show for our podcast, and we do 15, 20-minute spots for anybody that comes by, and we do it. Usually it's the last Thursday of the month. We do a show, or one of the last Thursdays. You should come to our show.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I would
be great.
Absolutely. It said the DC Draft House. I'd say that one closed down.
Yeah, that's sadly a thing of the past, but
yeah. That's sad, man. God, that's sad. God, I really like that place.
Yeah, I loved it.
I like the way it was shaped. It was shaped perfectly.
Yeah.
An old black box theater. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I like it. So, but there was another comedy club that closed a few years ago, right?
Yeah, the what was it? The Riot Act that John X was doing with Mike Farf and some other people. That was like 2012. That lasted less than like a year.
Okay, so that closed even before I started. So I guess.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That was like 2012, I want to say. And I remember hearing about it and being like, I got to get over there. And then they were like, fucking, hey, it went belly up. And I mean, from what I understand, there were a lot of issues there in terms of like even the layout. Like it was painted all white. The walls were fucking white with a stage and everything.
Color.
Worst color for any kind of a venue.
Yeah.
It sounds disgusting. No.
Yeah. It's like a hospital.
But it seems like, I don't know, I keep hearing different people like, the opening clubs in the DMV area. Like I keep hearing different people saying they're gonna open stuff. There's some people, they told me not to say anything, but if everyone that told me or I've heard that's gonna open a club, within the next year should be 3 new clubs. Like from what I've heard.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Really
That's
cool.
what there is, a lot of like talk about stuff that might start happening here. And I think there is supposed to be at least like one for sure. I know of a second one that's a maybe. And so maybe there's 3. I don't know. Yeah,
that'd be cool. I mean, I don't know, just have more clubs. I mean, I hope they all do well.
Yeah.
I'm helping one person, just giving them advice and telling them what I think would naturally work for comedy, from my experience, and we'll see what happens. I know that I don't know that like someone was trying to do a comedy club at MGM. So so I just hear different things, it's kind of cool,
Yeah, I heard about that too. I mean, I'm not going to say it can't be done, but that'd be pretty difficult.
Yeah. I mean, whatever happens.
It would crush.
Yeah.
Crush.
3,000 people every night in attendance. Hey.
No, but if they put like a club in there, not just in the theater.
Oh, something different aside. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because 3,000 people a night is crazy. Like,
that's
gonna be hard to draw. I think because one of the persons opening club, they told me they want to open a 350 seater, and off the top, and I said I don't think that's a good idea. Not off the top. I think you should start maybe 80, max about 150, and then just build your fan base. Because like, what are you gonna do? Like, so I told him, do you actually believe that you could fill up a 350 seater every single night? That's not easy. Maybe if you get a headliner Friday and Saturday, that'll be okay. If you get you have to probably get a good headliner every weekend, Yeah. So then now you don't. If you don't, Monday through Thursday or Sunday through Thursday, what are you gonna do? You really think you want 40 people in the audience? It's gonna look bad. 40 people in the audience on the 80 seater doesn't look bad. 40 people on the 350 seater looks god awful.
Bad.
We all
like COVID.
Shows. It feels like God. You almost kind of hate it, but you love it because it's comedy. But it's like, God, this big ass room, especially if they're not sat together. If they're sat wrong, and there's the 350, and they're like all scattered. It's like it feels like a glorified open mic, almost. So it's like all right, I don't know. So I think the person took my advice, and they're gonna like shrink it down and then start with, you know, maybe 150 or 80 seater top. So I like that they took what I said seriously. You know what I mean? Because what I did too, I called someone else that's built clubs, and they're like, they advise the same exact thing. They're like, don't
That's a
start.
big room.
Yeah, that's huge. What is it? Isn't that what DC Improv sits?
That's what Arlington sits.
Arlington sits 350.
Yeah.
About that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And right now, they can only do
89.
90 something. 89.
Mhm.
89, that's right.
But Elena, a show we did last week had 80 and like 80 something in there, right?
Yeah, it was almost sold out. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. It doesn't feel like it's sold out.
No, because it's only like how much capacity. That's what it looks like when you have an almost sold out, you know, 25% capacity room for a 300 and something seater.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Well, Dante, so you got your dates down. Where can people get at you?
Oh, my Instagram is at Dante Chang. And
Okay.
I'm that on every social thing. On TikTok, I'm something different, but I forgot what it is, so it doesn't matter. Like I don't know why. TikTok's that thing where everyone's like, "Hey, you got to do TikTok. You got to do TikTok." Like, all right, man. All right, I'll do it, but you don't do it. I don't do it. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I started mine. I deleted it. Now I'm thinking about doing it again. I know all about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So at Dante Chang on every social media platform.
Well, we want to thank Dante for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. It's good to see you. Let us know when you're back in town.
I'll be actually there at the end of next month, DC Comedy Loft with Craig Codet for like I think May 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th.
Nice.
No.
I don't know. Am I allowed to say that on your? Isn't this the draft house?
Yeah. You can promote your shit.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You guys edit that out because I don't want to piss Pete off. Either Pete, that Pete or the other Pete. I don't want to piss him off. So thank you guys so much.
All good. Thank you, Dante.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Peace.
Take care, Petey.